Hi and welcome to the Monday Live. And yeah, moving into autumn, I think. Greedober is a sure sign of that. So yes, October is our duplicate pairs month, where we focus on specific tactics with regard to that. So Greedober, what does it mean? It means that we are greedy for every 10 points. And we are going to focus this October on the part score. Now, I don't mean the part score battle. That's competitive bidding. Actually, this is more the choice of part score. And it's not something we often talk about. So I've done a seminar on the main site about basically choosing the part score, and we will see that. We'll have a little look at it today, a little excerpt and a few additions, and then we'll talk about it throughout the month. It is an interesting topic. I'm here most of the month. I pop away every so often, but I think I've got one pre-record halfway through because I'm off on one of my jaunts. But most all in the UK for the whole of the autumn. Just a few heres and theres, as it were. So what have we got coming up? We'll have our 5-level decision as usual. And then we will talk about obviously the seminar. And then we'll have the answer to the 5-level, then we'll have the bidding quiz, and then at the end, of course, we have our little beginners slot. And we're sort of finishing the bidding in a way. We're finishing the bidding with the beginners for a little while, and we're going to go on to play and defence. So we'll see how we progress there. It's a little bit of excitement for the beginners as well. And we'll also, the beginners who are members of our site, we're going to talk about the idea of playing in a game on Sunday where you get assistance, etc, etc. That's for beginners and novices, of course. Okay, the only thing I've got in terms of promotion is the old barn is the mention for the UK events. So we've been using the old barn for a long time. And you'll see we've got Elaine doing a few, including the new year. I'm doing my usual one there in November, and then there's Dennis and Pearl there as well. So do look at that. We used to use it a lot, of course, but I'll mention a cruise or two later on. But I think we should go to our 5-level decision. Now, some of you will have seen this on the Friday, the cliffhanger, as it were. The first decision you had to make on this one was the opening bid. And I'm afraid I ask you what you'd open the bidding, but then I tell you what you do. So you're non-vulnerable against non-vulnerable on this hand. Okay, non-vulnerable against non-vulnerable. And you choose 3 hearts, which I think is reasonable. I do not mind if you choose something else, and we discussed this last week, actually. Sorry, last month, but particularly last week. Or the week, no, maybe it was the week before last, where we were discussing the difference between pairs and teams. And with a distributional hand like that, 7-4-1-1, you could choose a bigger preempt, but I think 3 hearts is reasonable. The auction then goes 3 spades, 4 hearts, 4 spades. Okay, so there's nobody vulnerable, and it is now your choice of bid. So yeah, it's your choice of bid here. So you've got to decide. What do you think? And we'll come back to it. But 3 hearts, 3 spades, 4 hearts, 4 spades, your choice of bid. So that's the little cliffhanger that we leave with you with until we've done our seminar. The cruise that we're promoting this particular week is the the Northern Lights cruise. Now this is a cruise that I went on this year. I was on the Northern Lights this year and we've had a wonderful time. I have to say, really lovely time. So hopefully Elaine will have the same. They're going very similar time in March. And yeah, I must admit it's an impressive place to go in the winter. I mean, I've done the Norwegian fjords many times, and of course went with my family this year. Had a lovely time. And it is a lovely place to go to, but to see it in the actual winter, and of course, I think you've got a pretty good chance of seeing the Northern Lights. We certainly saw it 5 out of 7 nights, as it were, and it was impressive. But that's something to think about. Okay, let's do it. Let's get to the seminar. I think part score greed. So remember, this is part of our greed over idea. So this is all about bidding to the right part score. I think probably next year greed over will involve playing part scores and making the most of them, because of course the part score, both the battle and the choice of part score, are a huge part of duplicate pairs. So today we're discussing not competitive bidding. So I'm talking about hands where you've got maybe 21, 22 points as a partnership. You haven't got necessarily a brilliant fit, nor do the opponent. So it's not necessarily a competitive auction. It is more that you can choose whether you play in no trumps or a suit contract. And of course, if you're in a suit contract, are you playing in a minor or a major? And these are very subtle decisions, because you're not always looking for the best contract. You are looking for the best scoring contract. And that is what's so difficult. Playing teams, you just want to be in the best contract, and if you happen to lose 20 or 30 points, it's worth very little. Playing pairs, greed is good. You are looking for the contract that gives you the best score, and not necessarily the best contract. So you're comparing the scores, and there's nothing, I mean, we've all been there. We've all been there where we've made a contract, we've struggled to make a contract, and then we open up the Traveller, or you press on the computer screen and it tells you you've got 30% or perhaps less than that. And it turns out that other people are in a worse contract than you, but they end up with a better score, and it's annoying. And what we're going to try and do is find better contracts. So, not better contracts, sorry, better scoring contracts. That's crucial. So let's just throw up a few Travellers. I use these in the seminar as well. These are not supposed to be real Travellers. They're just to show you all the different scores you can get. Okay, and which ones are better than which, because of course we forget how to score. If we just press a button on a computer pad or on our iPhones or whatever it is, whether we're using Brian app or we're using Bridgemates or whatever it is, you forget how to score, and it's so important. And I really would recommend that you always try to add up the score when you get, so 2 spades plus 1. Work it out yourself. Do the maths, the arithmetic. 3 times 30 is 90 plus 50, gives you 140 for 2 spades plus 1. Don't just rely on the computer. It is true the computer will be correct, but if you get out of the habit of working out what a part score is, then you will not be in a situation to get the best out of your part scores, because you won't understand how they compare. So for example here, obviously clearly it's important to remember that greed is good, so over tricks are going to be valuable, and that's really important. But you'll notice that 10 tricks in a minor isn't quite as much as 9 tricks in a major. Okay, but 8 tricks in 2 no trumps there outscores 2 spades making and 3 clubs making. Okay, so obviously I think here you've probably guessed that your best bet is the minor. It's the best fit and it's probably the best contract. But is it going to score best? Well, if you can make as many tricks as possible, maybe. Okay, no trumps generally a more risky contract, but if it comes in, it makes the extra 10 points. Okay, but as always, the over tricks are important. So let's look at another traveller. So, sorry, that first traveller, essentially, I've shown you lots of people making lots of numbers of tricks. You'll notice that quite often when I demonstrate travellers, you have the same number of tricks made always. Okay, but the crucial element here is understanding every 10 points counts. So let's go to this second one that I've got here. Okay, and again, I've just given you an array of scores. Here, you've got one no trump making 8 tricks twice, and they have actually got the top score here. So one no trump plus 1 has got the top score. The same number of tricks have been made in spades. However, sometimes, again, it looks like clubs are the best contract here because they've scored 9 tricks. But notice that the 9 tricks in clubs have only got an average score. You're scoring out of 16 here. So it's important that you make the over trick, but even making the over trick in 2 clubs has only equaled the 2 spades, and you're a little bit below one no trump. Again, though, focus on the over tricks. Okay, and quite often it's important to understand the comparison, because you might say to yourself, well, actually, if I make this contract, I think I've got a great score, so I'm going to go for it. So you do have to do that. Someone asking about the scoring, remember, whatever you do in the major, you get 10 extra for the minor. Okay, so here, spades scores whatever. If 2 spades scores 110, 2 no trump scores 10 more. Okay, so no trump simply scores 10 more points than the score for a major. Okay, so if you're happy with the scoring for a major, then just add 10 points on. Just one single 10 points, no more than that. It's a funny bit of scoring, but the key is that nuance of the extra 10 points is what creates the fascination around the part score in duplicate bridge and around the games. And I think it is a clever thing. I mean, it seems crazy that you should get such a good score for an extra 10 points, but you can see here, look at pairs 8 and 9 here. Pairs 8 and 9 have got a complete top. Well, an equal top, I should say, the 2 of them together. Okay, just for making 10 more points. I mean, they're only 30 points more than the bottom. So pair 7 and pair 3 get a bottom. And there's only a 30 points difference between the whole traveller. And yet 15 out of 16 for your top score, 1 out of 16 for the bottom. And if you were the only ones, of course, you'd either get 0 or 16. So just to clarify, when no trumps works, it gets you the top because it gets you that extra 10 points. Okay, it tends to be a risk, but you do have to be greedy. And there's so many times that you will, when you're playing a contract, particularly in the 5-3 major fits, okay, the 5-3 major fits, when the 2 hands are relatively flat, quite often no trumps might work. And so what we're going to try and look at is, when should we be in that 8-card fit in the part score, or when should we be in no trumps? And of course, generally, if we're thinking of minor fits, quite often that will be a 9-card fit. And that will be a really good contract, the minor, okay? But unfortunately, you really don't score much. Now, if you're around the 8 tricks, sort of 7 tricks mark, well, minors are okay. But once you get up to 9 tricks, maybe even 10 tricks in the minor, well then, if you can scrape home in a major, you may find you get more points, okay? And in fact, we looked at we looked at Moisian fits and things like that. Now we're thinking about the major, the game level, but the part score level is important as well. So minors and majors can be really tight. So what I'm going to look at in a moment is, we're not going to look at bidding today. Those of you who are on the site, the members, will be able to see the seminar, look at the bidding, etc., and see how I am going to compare the bidding. What I want to do now is just simply compare. Look at a hand and decide what part score we want to be in, and it's not always that obvious. So again, if you're in the minor, if you're in a great minor fit, that you really do need to pursue your over tricks. And of course, if you manage to make 10 tricks, nobody did on this hand, but if you manage to make 10 tricks, you do get a top, and you will sometimes. So do not feel that I'm saying never be in a minor fit, but be aware when you're in a minor fit what you are comparing with. So if you're in a minor fit, two hands look relatively balanced, you're thinking, I think a few people might be in no trumps here, you've got to work out a way to beat them. And if you had managed to make 10 tricks on this hand, you'd have turned your average into a top. But notice, if you only make 8 tricks, you're going to get a complete bottom. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is look now. I've sort of put the wrong thing at the bottom here, because what I want you to really. What I want that question to be is, what is the best scoring part score? What part score do you want? So I want you to look at the two hands and decide what part score you want to be on. And while you're thinking about that, what I want you to contemplate and understand, okay, what I want you to contemplate and understand is that one of the reasons you should not contemplate playing 2/1 game forcing as your system at duplicate bridge, duplicate pairs, for teams it's workable, but at duplicate pairs, if you play that system, 2/1 game forcing, a modern sort of American complicated system, you can't play in 1 no trump a lot of the time. So bear that in mind. I'm asking you to choose between, for example, maybe 1 no trump, 2 spades, 2 diamonds, 3 diamonds, 2 hearts, etc. There is a system that a lot of people are starting to play that doesn't even give you a choice of one of those contracts, which is crazy. But anyway, unfortunately, it's a system that's come in and it's all about teams. But of course, the people who play it don't tell the improvers coming up that that's the case. Anyway, so what do you think the best part score here is? What I want you to notice, and this is something that I'll discuss in the seminar, we'll discuss over this month, is aces and kings and queens and jacks, and understanding which are good for which kind of contract. So aces and kings and queens and jacks, and interestingly, they came up in our discussion of Moisian fits on Fridays. At the moment, of course, on Fridays we're on minors. So here, for me, aces and kings I love for suit contracts. So I think if I was looking, I quite fancy 2 spades. If I looked at the 2 hands together, 2 spades I think I fancy. In no trumps, in no trumps here, if diamonds break evenly, you've got a chance of making a few tricks. But if diamonds break 4-2, I don't think no trumps is going to be much fun, is it? You've got 4 tricks outside and you'll only make 2 diamond tricks. Okay, 4 tricks out. And so if the diamonds do not break, I think you're going to struggle to make 1 no trump. And that's because you've just got aces and kings. And aces and kings we prefer for the suit contracts. I think 2 spades is going to work reasonably here. Don't forget, I'm not talking about the bidding. I think the auction, for example, playing the weak no trump here would be 1 no trump passed out. So don't feel we're necessarily going to get to the most desirable contract all the time. But looking at the 2 hands, I quite like 2 spades here. Okay, I'd feel that if I can get a couple of club ruffs in dummy, then I'm going to do pretty well. Okay, I'm not always going to make it, but I'm going to have a reasonable chance of making it. Okay, 2 hearts, of course, less ideal because the ruffs you're going to take are going to be in the longer trump hand. Okay, so you won't necessarily be gaining tricks. So if you play the ace of clubs and ruff a club, you won't gain a trick by ruffing that club in hearts. So for me, probably two spades is going to be better, because you're going to be left with 4 trumps in the west hand. And even if diamonds broke evenly, early on I would probably play a diamond. If they lead spades, they can make it a little bit more difficult for me, no doubt about it. I might have to then pursue club ruff straight away, but if they don't, let's say they lead a heart, I might be able to play a diamond early and still get, so I might even be able to make the most if diamonds do break. I still think I've got chances, of beating a no-trump contract. I mean, you've got to be greedy, but in theory, if the diamonds break, you could end up making 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tricks. You might manage 9 tricks, believe it or not. You won't necessarily, but if you're greedy, you could. David's got an idea there. Yeah, I don't mind that. 1 no trump. You might decide on the east hand, I think the best contract will be a response to Stayman. And if partner responds 2 diamonds, I'll pass. If partner responds 2 hearts, I'll pass. And if partner responds 2 spades, I'll pass, because I think a 4-3 fit might be good. I think that's reasonable. Yeah, David, I think that's perfectly reasonable. Bidding Stayman opposite a 1 no trump bid. And here I think it's, you'll finish in 2 hearts, as it happens on this particular... you'll finish in 2 spades, so you will finish in 2 spades, and I think you've maybe got the best contract. However, what I will say is I think the reason it's a good contract is because your partner's got aces and kings. So if I change the hand in a moment, let's have a look. Okay, so I think spades there. The problem with the 1 no trump, the Stayman bid with the east hand, which I think is reasonable on this hand, what do you think the best scoring part score is now? Okay, now of course this is going to be different because I've given it a 15 count here, so it won't be a 1 no trump opener. Okay, what do you think the best contract might be here now? So have a little think on this one. So again, I'm not bidding particularly today. Okay, I'm not bidding particularly, but on this one here, I'm hoping that you're looking at your queens, jacks and tens, your what we call slow tricks. When you've got slow tricks, we like no trumps, and I'm hoping you're happy here that we've got exactly the same fits. So the shape of the west hand is exactly the same, and obviously east is the same. Okay, for me, someone saying 1 no trump opener, I think it's got too much bulk for that. So I don't want you downgrading this hand. I know it's aceless, but you've got king, queen, jack together, queen, jack, 9 together, queen, jack, 10, 9 together. So although it's aceless, I do rather like the hand. So I think it's worth the 15 it has, if that makes sense. So I would open it. 1 of a suit. However, I think possibly if you open a spade, east will bid 2 spades anyway. So you won't, getting to the right contract is not easy, but we are going to discuss over this month how we would do it, okay? Because I think you'll finish in 2 spades here, which you don't like. And that's why it's so difficult. As soon as dummy comes down, you'll think, oh gosh, I'd love to be in no trumps here. Because of course the key is you don't want to ruff clubs, do you? You'd love to, you're going to make 2 club tricks. So after the ace and king of clubs have gone, you've got 2 club tricks. You don't need to ruff them. And you've got lovely stoppers in diamonds and hearts. So in no trumps, it's quite possible that your opponents lead a black suit. And if they lead a black suit, they're helping you, aren't they? Really difficult for the opponents to get it right, but they're likely to lead clubs. It wouldn't be too much of a surprise against no trumps. And suddenly you're very quickly building up tricks, aren't you? You'll be able to make at least 2 diamond tricks, 4 heart tricks, hopefully. Not easy to get to dummy though. Notice that. So that is tricky. Okay, so it's not as clear cut as you necessarily think here. Okay, it's not. If the opponents duck the king of diamonds lead, it gets a little bit tricky. So you're not quite sure, but it's when I see queen, jacks and tens, I tend to think no trumps rather than suit. And in some auctions like these ones, you probably wouldn't be able to choose. But we are going to see when the auctions go things like 1 spade, 1 no trump from partner, and you've got a 5-4 holding. Do you bid your suit or do you leave 1 no trump? 1 spade, 1 no trump, 2 clubs from me. Do you pass 2 clubs? Do you bid your own suit? Do you go to 2 spades? Those are the kind of auctions we're going to be talking about. 1 spade, do you bid 1 no trump in response, or do you bid 2 spades? So there's 3 or 4 auctions that we're going to focus on, okay, where essentially it's going to depend on your choice, okay. Okay, have a look at this one, this last one, before we wind up. So again, what is the best scoring part score? Again, I apologise for the question being what is the best part score, because I wanted to say what is the best scoring part score. Okay, now I think the first 2 I was able to give a definitive answer. Spades was the first one, the second one was no trumps. What is the answer here? Okay, and to be honest, I think you're going to have to show me the Traveller for me to work it out, because I am not sure. These are really tricky hands to judge. So you have first of all, you have a genuine fit. So let's look at the 2. Clearly you have a fit in diamonds. I don't think you want to play in no trumps. Your opponent should perhaps take 5 clubs and maybe 4 hearts, so, or 3 hearts at least. So you don't want to be in no trumps. However, do you want to be in diamonds, or do you want to be in spades? And why I say spades is because it looks more reasonable. So it's interesting, isn't it? And when you play the contract you're in, be aware of the comparison. So I'm going to put a question mark here, because I'm not sure is the answer, because it is difficult. Because when you play, for example, let's just assume they lead clubs. Let's say they lead clubs. And lead 2 rounds of clubs and you rough a club in 2 spades, it's not clear where you go from there, is it? Because if you draw 3 rounds of trumps and you leave 1 outstanding, I don't think you're going to get further than that, because they can rough the 3rd round of diamonds and you'll never get back to dummy. So it's tricky. I mean, clearly the best part score, so the answer to the question I've actually written there is diamonds. But what is the best scoring part score? And that's the question here. I think you're going to make, I think most of the time here, you've got a reasonable chance in 3 diamonds. Okay, however, if the hearts break 4-2 and they pick up the queen, you could go down in 3 diamonds. So it's quite interesting, but then that would require both a 4-2 break in hearts and a 4-2 break in spades. Having said that, if the hearts break 3-3 and they force you in clubs, you might run out of trumps. So I think it's really interesting. And what I'm trying to get you to do is think about these kind of choices. Does that make sense? I want you to start thinking about them. So again, you can see here, this isn't a particularly a big part score battle, although interestingly, if they do find their club fit, they may well find that they can make, or they're going to be very close to making 3 clubs, in which case you may well be competing to 3 diamonds. So this particular hand, with them holding a 9-card club fit, could well be end up as a competitive hand. Interesting. Again here, it may well go 1 spade past 2 spades. Okay. What's interesting on this hand though, is that you could have, imagine the auction goes 1 spade from west past 2 spades from east, 3 clubs from south. 1 spade past 2 spades, 3 clubs from south. It's then possibly reasonable for the auction to go pass 3 diamonds. And then, you know, so East is trying to imply, look partner, I've got good diamonds and it should show 5 diamonds. Probably only 3 spades. Can you choose the part score you want to play in? Do you want to play in 3 diamonds or 3 spades? And that's interesting. And I think probably 3 diamonds is your best chance of making it the 3 level, isn't it? Okay, so it's more this one. If it's a competitive deal, it's very different. If it's a competitive deal, you're looking for the best part score. If it's a deal where your side are exclusively going to be playing the contract, then you want the best scoring part score. So it's really complicated, isn't it? There's a lot to think about. There really is. And it's not something that I've generally talked about in the past, certainly not something I've seen talked about. So I thought it would make a really interesting seminar. So I hope you enjoy it. Hopefully you get something from it. I will talk about it a bit on the Mondays, but if you do want to see it, of course, that's for the members. And you're welcome to join our site. It's still at $13.99 a month. It is going to go up at the end of the year, but don't forget, if you get in at whatever price you start at, you keep that price. Okay, so don't forget that. So the price, as I say, is going up, but at the moment you can still get the price as is. And don't forget, beginners, it's just $4.99 for novices. So there we go. All right, so where are we? We are going back, I think, to here. Bang. Yeah, there we go. The 5 level. So we opened 3 hearts. Now, to be honest, that is the crucial element. Okay. Now, I do not mind if you choose to open 4 hearts. But whatever you choose as your opening bid, you must stand by it. And what do I mean by that? Well, once you make a preempt, you really shouldn't bid again. Okay, that doesn't mean you won't gain by bidding again, but you will lose complete partnership trust if you bid on preemptive hands more than once. You have a much more distributional hand than your partner might think. You've got 2 singletons, but the point is, once you bid 3 hearts, you have said your piece. If you feel it's got too much distribution for that, either pass or open 4 hearts. But do not open 1 bid and then decide I want to bid again, because it's all about what your partner has. You have no idea whether your partner was bidding 4 hearts to make, or whether he was bidding 4 hearts as a sacrifice. Does that make sense? It's your partner is the one who knows. Okay, so you know, there's no doubt your hand is a little bit more distributional than your partner might think, but you have no idea whether it is correct to bid 5 hearts or not. And that's the crucial element in this hand. You can't double. However, you can pass. Pass says, partner, I've got nothing specific to bid. Okay, so let's just open up, see the hands. Okay, those are the hands. It goes 3 hearts, 3 spades. Your partner bids 4 hearts. I think that's reasonable. I mean, you could gamble on a 3-no trump bid, I suppose, with the West hand, but on another day they'll take 5 diamonds. So I think 4 hearts is relatively normal. It goes 4 spades from north. You pass, and it goes pass, and I think your partner's probably, I would have thought, going to put a double on that. You know, he's not guaranteed of taking it down, but it's reasonable. The thing is, he does not expect to make 5 hearts, and that's the crucial element here. Why does he not expect to make 5 hearts? Because he's got 4 tricks, and he's expecting 6 from you, as it were, or he's got 3 tricks outside of hearts and expects 7 hearts. Does that make sense? And he's quite right. We will lose 2 club tricks most of the time, won't we? Okay. As it happens, if North had been on lead, it would have been a funny one. But no, you know, you'd feel they're probably going to lead the ace of diamonds. Interesting 3 spade overcall on just 6. Oh, sorry, it was a 3 spade overcall over 3 hearts, wasn't it? I'm leading myself astray. So, well done if you passed. And I think it's important. It's really, It's really difficult, and I see this a lot with week twos, where people will open a week two with a 6-5 hand. And that is going to randomize things, because when you open with a week two, remember your partner's in charge, and if you then make another bid, you really, really will undermine your partner's trust in you. Here, West feels he's in control. Now, there's no doubt that 4 spades doubled might make some of the time here, okay? But, I mean, how far is it going to go off? I mean, if you're bold and you play 3 rounds of spades, I think you take it 2 off, don't you? Can you see that? I think you've got to be bold, but if you play, well, you can play the ace of hearts first, I suppose, but if you play ace, king and another spade, then they can't run their diamonds. But it's a bit of a gamble, maybe, because I suppose De Clever might have it. No, I think it's not a gamble. I mean, South would have had to have 4 diamonds to the ace, king, queen small for them to run. So yeah, if you let's say you lead the ace of hearts and then ace, king and another spade, you'll end up making 2 heart tricks because they don't get the heart rough. Can you see that? So you'll take 4 spades doubled 2 off, which is a good sacrifice. So don't get me wrong, North South have done the right thing, but the crucial element is that we get 300 points instead of going 1 down in 5 hearts. Okay, so whatever you choose to open with the East hand, you just have to stand by it. So for example, if you chose a 4 heart opening, South may well bid 4 spades. The problem is West has a difficult decision now, because over 4 spades, he really does believe he's only got 3 tricks, because a lot of the time he thinks the ace of hearts is going to be roughed. So he might then choose 5 hearts expecting to make 8 hearts. Because remember, most of the time you will have 8 hearts for that bid, in which case it's not unreasonable to hope you will make 5 hearts. So I think 3 hearts is going to work out better for you here, as long as you stick by it. Okay, so that was that. And we've just got the bidding quiz to go. I was going to mention the Croatia, our yearly Croatia visit. This time it's Kim's going out. In fact, Kim came out with me this year. I did go this year. We had a lovely time. Kim and Elaine were there. So Kim's going to take the group this time. Remember, you can do 7 or 14 nights. As you know, we tend to do Croatia, Mallorca and Tunisia, and you can pick between those ones through each year. I'm off to Tunisia, of course, and do look that up. Give the office a call, or of course go straight to Great Little Escapes and they can help you out. So the bidding quiz, let's have a look. The bidding quiz, we're on a similar theme as usual. 1 heart from right hand opponent. You overcall 2 diamonds. A decent hand, nothing wrong with that. Lovell, 2 hearts on your left, 3 clubs from your partner, 3 hearts. So 1 heart, 2 diamonds, 2 hearts, 3 clubs from your partner, 3 hearts. So it's quite an auction, isn't it? Seems to be a lot of points in this pack. What do you think? Okay, so going through that again. 1 heart, you overcall 2 diamonds, 2 hearts, 3 clubs from your partner, 3 hearts. And it's your bid. Everybody's non-vulnerable. That is interesting, isn't it? Yeah, as I say, I would reckon that feels like a 50-point pack to me. So we'll see who's telling lies and who's not. So good luck with that one. Don't forget, you can get the answer to that on the site, whether you're a member or not, just by putting in your email and having a look, or obviously going on the site. So I hope you enjoy the new topic. Which is, as I say, agreed over and going for the part scores. And please, as always, do send in hands on the topic. I'd love to see the choices that you make. And you can tell me whether or not you have changed the way you think about it. It'll take a little bit of time getting used to, but focus on it if you can this month. Focus on the choice of part score. And don't expect to get it right every time, but hopefully over time, when you try it a few times, you'll then find, wow, I've never really thought about that, and see whether it does affect your scores, hopefully in a positive way. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. We will see you throughout the week. Remember, we've got the teams on Wednesday, which the non-members can join at half price this week. So don't forget that if you want to. We had fun with the prize winners last week. It was fantastic, I have to say, and it's reinvigorated me with regard to it, because there were some really, really good plays on the Wednesday. So if you haven't seen that one already, do have a look at the teams. I thought there was a lovely third in hand preempt by one of the prize winners, and some nice defense against me, some great defense, some really interesting hands. Okay, let's go to the beginners then. Thanks for your company, and do stay with me if you want to join us for a little bit of begin bridge, as it were. So preemptive bidding. Preemptive bidding, we've been talking about it a lot. I'm just doing one more on responding to that double. So 3 level openings we've discussed are weak bids. If the opponents do them, what we expect in their hand is a 7-card suit, a decent 7-card suit, and 5 to 9 points. So a weak hand. What we said was we should come in against it quite aggressively. You've got to be brave, but in the long run it will be good news. Double is used for takeout. So 3 diamonds from the opponent, double from your partner. Says, partner, will you bid your best suit for me? Okay. We're going to ask one more question here though, and that question is, are you allowed to pass a takeout double? And that is not an easy question for a beginner or novice, but you do have to have it addressed. Okay, and that's why I'm putting it there. Okay, so can you pass a takeout double? And the answer is simple, but not easy. Only pass if you think it is the right thing to do. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, do not pass because you are weak. You should only pass if you think playing in 3 diamonds doubled will give your side a good score. So if you've got no points at all and nothing in diamonds, you're going to expect them to make 3 diamonds doubled, and that will not score well. You have to believe that you will take 3 diamonds doubled down. And of course, to do that, you need long and good trumps. Remember though, they are at the 3 level, so they do need to make 9 tricks. It's not like a double at the 1 level. 1 diamond doubled. Well, now of course, quite often they'll make with few points and not necessarily that many trumps, because they're at the 1 level. They only need 7 tricks. At least here they're at the 3 level. Okay, so only pass if you're sure it's the right thing to do, and for that generally you're going to need long and good trumps. So let's look at this hand. North opens 3 clubs. It goes double from your partner, pass, and it's your bid. So it's 3 clubs double, pass, and it's your bid. I have put love all up there. That means that nobody is vulnerable. There is some relevance here, but not a huge amount. So can you remember what double shows? Double shows an opening hand with shortage in clubs. Well, I think we can guess our partner's short in clubs, because North has shown 7 of them and you have 4 of them. So that only leaves a couple left. So it's not that much of a surprise that your partner is short. You haven't got a suit to bid. And surely it's not unreasonable to hope that 3 clubs is going to go down. You're going to make 2 club tricks most of the time and the ace of spades, and your partner's got an opening hand. So I think you can hope that you're going to take 3 clubs, a fair few down. And I think your best result will come from playing in 3 clubs doubled. But I'm bidding it because I expect it to go down. If you take the Queen Jack of clubs away and the ace of spades away there, I will respond in my best suit, or at least something like 3 diamonds or something like that same part, because I just don't want to be in 3 clubs doubled making. Because remember, what we mentioned when we talked about a double is that the double doubles the number of points 3 clubs is worth. So 3 clubs is worth 60. The double makes it worth 120. That is game. So if they make 3 clubs double, they don't just get the points for 3 clubs double, they get a game bonus as well as a few other things, but that's by the by. However, so you only pass if you're going to get it down, and I believe I'm going to get it down. So my partner will get a shock, and believe you me, when you're a beginner, you really do, because your partner will be shaking her head. She'll be thinking, oh, partner, that's a takeout double. But if you trust each other, she won't be shaking her head. She'll be going, oh, great, partner thinks we can get 3 clubs doubled down. Okay, so here's the full hand. Take your time to take it in. I won't spend too much time on it, but do come back to it and look at it. You'll see, let's go through that auction. North has that hand we'd expect for a preempt, 5 to 9 points and 7 clubs. Your partner has an opening hand with a singleton club, makes a great double. South is a bit annoyed, he's got a decent hand, but actually he does best to pass. Okay, remember, I know it's an odd fit, but they do have an 8-card fit in clubs. Okay, it just happens that 7 are in one hand. We chose to pass. Okay, and eventually, when the dust settles, I would imagine that the defenders can take the ace and king of diamonds, and then the ace and king of spades. And of course, after that, you are destined to make 2 club tricks. You've got the queen, jack, 10, 8 there. Declarer can take the ace and king, but you'll have 2 high ones left. So you will take 3 clubs doubled 2 off. You don't have to know the scoring yet, but you'll grow to know it. That is worth 300 points. So well done you. And as you can see, you've only got 20 points between you. So you do not expect to make a game contract. That's not to say you won't necessarily, but you do not expect to make a game contract with just 20 points between you. So passing the double was a great choice of bid. Okay, so let's do one more example and then we will leave the topic. And in fact, we're going to leave the topic of bidding as a whole. So here's your hand here. 3 clubs again, double again, pass. What do you think this time? What do you think this time? Now, quite often, to be honest, I would give these to intermediate players and experienced players, and it's not that easy a bid. But I just want you to understand the options that are in your armory here. First and foremost, you are not long in clubs, so it's not going to surprise you that your opponents may have as many as 10 clubs between them here. Okay, so, you know, I'm not so keen necessarily on passing here. Can you think of all of the options that are available to you in response to the double? Because clearly your best suit is diamonds. But if you have an opening hand and your partner has an opening hand, you should be thinking about a game contract. Okay. And you've got to decide which game contract. And I'm going to be honest, I think a lot of people here would decide on diamonds because it just feels safer. But your partner's got an opening hand and your partner said that she likes spades, hearts and diamonds. And if partner's got all of those suits and you've got the ace and king of clubs, surely the most likely contract that you're going to make and certainly make the most points out of is 3 no trumps. So I'm not going to pass that double, even though I expect to take 3 clubs off. Got to understand that if they've got a fit, so let's look at it, and they have got a nice fit in clubs, haven't they? 10 clubs between them. That we're not going to get such a big score. So let's just see how things work out. Let's just go through that auction again. 3 clubs from North, not such a good club suit, but the same thing, 7 clubs and 5 to 9 points. So it goes 3 clubs double, pass, This time we bid 3 no trumps. Okay. Now I'm just going to quickly compare the results you'd get. In 3 clubs doubled, I think you're probably just going to take that only 1 off, I'm afraid. Just 1 off in 3 clubs doubled, so at least it goes off, but it's only worth 100 points. Whereas, as you can see, 3 no trumps is nice and comfortable. Okay, I hope you can count 9. Ace king of clubs, ace king of spades, and 5 diamond tricks, and look at how wonderful those diamond tricks are. In 5 diamonds, it's not the worst contract, but unfortunately, if the opponents find a heart lead, they're probably not going to, but if they did lead hearts, they could go ace, king, and they could then get a heart ruff. So you would end up only with you'd only end up with 10 tricks. I think maybe you'll make the same tricks though. So if you bid to 5 diamonds, you might make 11 if they don't lead. So for example, if they lead the queen of clubs, as long as you play carefully, you can, hopefully on the queen of clubs lead, you can maybe establish your hearts. Okay, but you have to take lots of finesses in hearts. You'd need to lead the 8 of hearts first and run it, and then another finesse, and then another. If they lead a spade though, you would only make again 10 tricks. So 3 no trumps is not an easy bid. Okay, and that's where we're going to finish that topic. Okay, as I say, understand that that's the kind of question I'd be putting to intermediates rather than novices. What is important is at least to understand that there are options, because clearly when you teach a beginner a takeout double, you just say please respond in your best suit, and that's usually what you do. But of course, if you're stronger, etc. With regard to the scoring, on the site the begin bridge is included, and you'll see at the start and throughout there are the options of looking up how the scoring works. It is a fundamental thing to the game. I would say 30% of the people who play club bridge do not really know how to accurately score. And those of you who are watching this, if you watch the earlier section of the Monday Live, you'll have seen me talking about parts score bidding and how to score it. And again, a lot of people do not know how to score. So there is a lot on scoring. I've done a number of things on scoring as well. So we are going to be getting the beginners and novice tips created for you on the site, so you'll then have them labeled and hopefully more easy to access little bits that you want to go to. So give us a moment on that. I know I've been talking about it a long time, but I know it's coming soon, I promise. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed the sort of bidding that we've been doing over, I think, probably around a year and a half. But I think we'll have a look at some play from now on. So I hope you enjoyed that, and see you again soon.